Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rocky Lau. I am a senior at Park Center Senior High School, and I have been in the Heritage Hmong class for 4 years now. So pretty much my whole entire high school year.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Fung. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm a junior at Park Center/DLA, which is the Distance Learning Academy, and I have been in Heritage Hmong class for about 3 years now.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nathan Yang. I'm currently a junior at DLA and Park Center Senior High School, and I've been in the Hmong Heritage Program for about 3 years, ever since freshman.
Hi guys, my name is Jordan Yin Ba. I am a junior this year at Park Center and DLA. I go by he, him pronouns, and I have also been in the Hmong Heritage Program for about 3 years, ever since I was a freshman.
All right, Nyashong. Golumbe was Sifu Yang. I am a full-time distance learning academy teacher, teaching Hmong Heritage Hmong language students. And then my colleague Sifun is also a 0.8 Hmong language teacher at Park Center. So Sifun goes between our she's in our hybrid model this year. So. All right, so I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about our Hmong language program. We are fairly new in existence. We started back in about 2016 was when students, I was advising Asian Club at that time, and students came to me and they're like, Miss Yang. I'm like, what? There's a Heritage Spanish class. What about us? And at the time, our Asian Club leaders, cabinet leaders were very, very saddened that with the number of Hmong students that we had at Park Center, there was no program for Hmong students. So I said to the students, I said, you know what? If you want this, you got to do the work. And so that's when students brought their parents together to multiple community meetings to talk about what is it that we want, what is it that we need that Osseo is not providing. And then after multiple meetings, oh my gosh, it was very, very emotional for students and for parents. And finally, at the end of the three smaller meetings, we had a large community meeting with the leaders in our school district and say, hey, you know what? There's a need here that's not being fulfilled, and our students want to feel like they're at home. And so luckily our district was in full support of it. And since then, it's been 4 years, and each year we've added a new Heritage Hmong course for students. And so the group of students, Rocky was the very first student. His group of students were the very first one to come to year one and then finish all 4 years. So Rocky and a few others are in that situation, and Jocelyn will hopefully continue next year along with King Ethan and Jordan as well. So our program is expanded, is right now at 2 high schools, Osseo Senior High and Park Center. And because of COVID, we have our Distance Learning Academy program, and then also at Park Center. But next year, we are expanding our program. So I will be officially teaching at our new 279 online school, Hmong language, heritage language program to students in 8th through 12th grade. And then I will be full-time there. And then at Osseo, there will also be a 0.4 teacher, and then at Park Center, a full-time teacher. And so we are busy, super busy with our program. The need is there. Our class sizes are between, with Hmong 3 and 4, we have about 20 students right now, but with our lower Hmong 1 and 2 classes, we're at 36 capacity. So it is very, very busy, and we have lots of fun. I'm going to turn it over to questions because I hate talking about things that I think that's important, but we want to hear from you as folks who are here. What is it that you want to hear from us? What is it that you want to know? And I'm going to let the students talk too, because I often talk a lot. So questions, you can either unmute yourself, and if Alex can help us moderate the questions, or unmute yourself or put in the chat. And if you don't have questions, I know our students have questions for you. They've done this. They've done community conversations before, and they have moderated 90 minutes of community conversations without my support. So
Danny, you look ready to ask a question. Do you want to go ahead?
Yeah.
I saw
somebody-
that someone put something in the chat. Maybe that person can go first.
Yeah, I was gonna answer that one. So Paula said, what do you like best about the program? So my favorite part of the program is the end of the year showcase. Most of the photos that you saw were from the end of the year showcase back when we were freshmen. I think that was 2018, 2019, something like that. But that was probably like my favorite. Yes, right there. That was my favorite part of the whole thing. That was my first year of Hmong too. So what it is that we got together and we kind of like showcased everything that we learned that year. I wasn't never a really good Hmong speaker, even though I am. That is like my culture, like my language, everything I am. So the fact that I can like come together with all these people and share what we all have in common was a really nice experience. And we also ate really good food, and we got to show me and Jordan actually had a video in there. It was called the Hmong Cinderella story, and it was like a short film, and we got a lot of praise for it. So yeah, and hopefully we can do that again next year. So, and this is all in that first year, and then COVID hit. So yeah.
You'll be, I will put the link in the chat. And so all of you will be invited to our end of the year showcase, which is next Wednesday in the evening. It's all virtual because of COVID, or Sunday afternoon. And so if you want to meet the rest of the team, of the students, the families, we're also inviting the community as well. Our in-person event, we had over 600 people come. And so it is a huge event that students lead. Our students are emceeing. I stay behind the scene and everything flows flawlessly. So we will put the link in later and then have you fill it out so that you can come join us and see what we're all about.
I'll jump in with my question. So I'm Danny. I work with adult learners, and my learners often have kids who come to classes with them, and we sometimes talk about how programs like this would be really helpful in their school. I'm just really curious to hear from you guys about how this has, like, what from your opinions and in your eyes, what this experience has been like for your parents to see you going through this, to see you sort of connecting with the culture that they are identifying as and identifying you with as well. So yeah, if anyone wants to speak to that, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, so like growing up being a second generation, like it's really hard for like second generation Hmong students, especially to learn about Hmong. And so like this is a really great opportunity for Hmong students to come and learn about the Hmong language itself. And to your question, like parents are really proud and like are really happy to see that Hmong students are actually learning their own like tradition and cultural language, right? And to this, like this is a really important topic for us to talk about, right? So, I do thank you for bringing that question in. And yeah, so like with this program, like many Hmong students so far throughout the years, like they've been learning and gaining new knowledge about the Hmong language and tradition itself. So, like it's been a really fun year for Hmong students.
I can answer your question too. So my parents, from when I was in 8th grade, no, not even 8th grade. When I was in like 7th grade, it's when we first heard about the Hmong heritage class being offered at the high schools. And my mom was like, "You're," because they offer Spanish class in middle school too. My mom's like, "You're not doing that. Nope, you're doing Hmong when you go to high school. You're doing Hmong." It's just, and at first she was like, "I want you to learn Hmong," because my mom, like Rocky said, like we are the second generation. So I've always been to schools where English is like the language taught and spoken. So I kind of lost that part of me, like my language, when I was really young. So then when I grew up, I just spoke English, and didn't really speak Hmong. And then my mom was like, "You need to go to Hmong class so that you know how to speak Hmong." And then now that I'm in like year 3, I can sort of write, I can speak Hmong quite well. And then like now I like say, "Hey mom, like do you know how to spell?" She's like, "I don't know how to spell. I don't know how to spell. I don't know how to read. I don't know how to spell. I only know how to speak." So I guess for her, it's really exciting that like I'm kind of, I don't want to say better than her, but then like I have more understanding of Hmong. So yeah, you can hear Miss Yang laughing right now. But yeah, so our parents were really excited.
That's amazing. I really appreciate both of those stories, especially yours. It's Jose.
It's Jocelyn. I don't know why it cut off. I guess that's my
My
I
name
guess
did
that's
that
my
too
my
today.
Google account. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm. I think when students come in, I always, I've been teaching for this is like my 22nd year. Before I became a Hmong language teacher, I was an ESL teacher. And so when I shifted over to teaching Hmong, my philosophy had to change because I knew I was going from a class size of 15 to 20 students to 36 students. So I knew I had to shift some of my own philosophy, my own thinking of how I do things. And I really had to remind my students, because I had students, it's not a levels years program, it is an experiential program. So that means that regardless of your proficiency level in Hmong, even if you're advanced or intermediate or a novice beginner, doesn't matter. You're all in the same class and we're going to experience it together. And what's important is that I always tell students, you are on your own journey. You are comparing yourself to you and not to anyone else. And for some of you, it might take you a long time to learn Hmong, just because that's the way you are. There's a lot of factors that fall into it. And for you to compare yourself to your friend who's learned Hmong all their life at a charter school, you can't do that. And so just that philosophy of reminding kids over and over that you are comparing yourself to when you first walked in your freshman year or whatever first year you were with me in Hmong 1. And we will look at your journey. We look at how far you've gone and where you're headed. And I would also like to add that identity piece is so important. So many students come in and say, we don't even know who we are anymore. We've been whitewashed by the system that has no curriculum that looks like them, the system that has been, that don't have teachers that look like them in the classroom majority of the time. And so they've not been able to see their narrative in anything that's anything in the educational system. So for a lot of students just coming in and getting to tap into their history, their roots, really is life-changing. It really helps them figure out who they are, which is all about student-centered. Who are you as a Hmong American? How do you fit into this complicated world? How do you learn? At first, when I started teaching in the ESL world, it was 50 research papers. That was not very fun to grade. But then when I switched over to Hmong language program, I learned about the Bush Initiative, the Bush Foundation Initiative, where it's student-centered learning. It's all about the students. And I learned how to give assignments that allow students to use their strengths and to build on that strengths. So instead of having them write 50 research papers about the Hmong history, I no longer do that. I give a project and I give multiple pathways, options for students to decide which pathway do I want to do. Like, so for example, Jordan Yiling is an excellent artist. So oftentimes when I give projects, Yiling will want to do artwork, and doing visual art is a way of showing his knowledge and his expertise, but is using his strengths to lift up his weaknesses. And so along the way, Jocelyn and Jordan with their current project, they're learning the Hmong language, how to write and read in Hmong. They're doing that naturally. They don't even know it, but they're picking that up. So helping students figure out how is it that they learn. And we often do a lot of collaborative work. I believe in collaboration. And so students must learn how to work with each other, because that's the number one thing that employers say, that they're like, oh my God, people can't work together. So I want my students to be able to work together around their differences and be able to create stuff that is very meaningful to them. And so I think setting up a foundation in the classroom and my philosophy and how I do things hopefully does impact the student's success, and hopefully helps make students feel like, wow, this is different. This is really allowing me to be who I want to be, who I am, etc. So
there was a question in the chat. It says, to the students, what are some of your favorite projects that you worked on? Okay, I have two. I actually do have two. So it was the short film that me and Jordan worked on. We worked on it with another girl named Kashia, and we did that in our freshman year. And like, I don't know, it was a really hard process because we had to come up with all these characters, a storyline. We had to like act it out. We had costumes. So it was really fun to see the whole, and like we didn't know how to speak Hmong back then. Like we were really bad at speaking Hmong. So it was just like very like bare minimum words. And then another project that I actually really enjoyed, we did a social justice kind of like unit in our Y part, and we got to choose topics that we would work on with other students, and my topic was mental health, and more specifically mental health in the Hmong community. So what we did was we talked to the leaders kind of, and our counselors after we got all this research, and we had like mentors help us, and we talked to students. We had a focus group where we talked to students and said, well, what is your mental health like? Like why do you feel like, what's making you anxiety? Is it COVID? Is it family? Like there's so many other things that like contribute to your mental health, and it's such a wide topic to talk about. So learning about that and being able to showcase what I've learned about mental health and how I use it now was just like, it's really mind blowing to see like what these projects that Miss Yang can come up with and how like it helps my knowledge. But yeah, that was mine. If somebody else wants to go.
Yeah, so I also had two. Oh, sorry, Elaine. So
No,
I
no,
also
no,
had
no.
two too. So one of them was actually the Dear My Teacher book where where I think it was anonymous, and we were talking about like our stories, right? And just publishing our among stories out there. And to this it was really like it was like a wonderful project to work on, because like out there we don't really have our Hmong knowledge, our Hmong history, our cultural books out there, like to tell to the world, to tell like other race who the Hmong people are. So like the books that we made with Miss Yang, like it was a really great opportunity to do that. And then another project was actually this year, me and these two other students, Chelsea and Sue, we were working with Mr. Tong Vang, about indigenous I think it was indigenous mythology research or something like that. And like what it is it talks about the history of that one race, is the history of that culture, right? So we were also doing that project, and like it was really fun to do.
mhm.
Yeah, for me, I can definitely say same thing with Jocelyn. The movie that we did, it was definitely a life changer for me because it was the first time that, you know, it was the first time I actually met Jocelyn too. Me and Jocelyn actually met through the movie, and ever since we've gotten so close. And I'm really glad that we made this movie together, especially with our other partner, Kashia. You know, we all three of us got really close together in that movie. There was a lot of trial and error with the movie. You know, people had different schedules, couldn't come, you know, to film. People had to leave early, you know, and like there's even technical issues with like editing and stuff like that. You know, we ended up having to turn in the movie really late when everybody else was already finished, and you know, it was really disappointing. But then, you know, in the end, we came through because you know because Ms. Yang actually told us that the reason why our movie got picked in the end was because we had the best audio, and you know, and it really showed me how much hard work can really, you know, put you like I don't know how to say this, but like, you know, how much hard work can get you, you know what I mean? Because I actually had to edit the movie, and let me tell you, it was not easy. You know, with a bunch of technical issues and stuff like that, I can really say that I was really proud of what I could do. And, you know, look where it got us. You know, we ended up, you know, being showcased at the show, even though we turned it in late, and, you know, we were super late on, you know, everything. But, you know, we made it through. And yeah, definitely that project will always be with me and like stay and have a close part in my heart. I will always remember that. And also just the white part projects. And I also saw in the chat someone talked about could we explain more about the white part? And yeah, I can definitely explain more about it. So just like Jocelyn said, it was about social justice and social issues within the Hmong community. And for me, I chose toxic homes because even though like yes, the Hmong culture is very beautiful, it's a very, you know, diverse community, there also is like a lot of cons to the community, and there's a lot of like, you know, bad things, and one of them is, you know, toxicity in homes. And basically what we did with the white par groups was that we gathered a lot of information. We, you know, went on articles. We went to go watch videos about, you know, Hmong people and their actual struggles with their experiences being in a toxic environment. We also did focus groups where we talked with a bunch of students actually, and I think that one was probably the most impactful because, you know, we're hearing people who went through traumatic experiences who are our age, and it was really impactful. And um, you know, obviously, you know, that was really something that, you know, I will always take to heart, and I will never like, you know, because uh, topics like these are very serious, especially in our community. Um, and I definitely commend those students who did, you know, partake in our focus group. And, you know, not only the focus group, but we talked to like big leaders. Like we talked to the Hmong 18 Council, which is a big organization for Hmong people everywhere. And we got to talk with one of them. And he actually came to our presentation when we were presenting in class, and also at night. And you know, it was just really awesome, and you know, a really good experience for me because not only did it open my eyes to like new information about my community and more go in depth in certain issues within my community, but it also kind of like brought out like more confidence in me to like want to talk about certain things and like speak about certain things. Because you know, when I was younger, I was very shy. I did not want to talk, did not want to speak. When I spoke, you could barely hear me. You would say, "Oh, what did you say?" Like speak up. But like now, it's just like I'm more loud. I'm more open. Um, you know, Ms. Yang says that like, you know, me and Jocelyn are probably like the loudest people in class. Like we talk all the time, and you know, it's because of these projects. And these projects have really made me more confident in who I am and confident in my voice and, you know, how I represent myself as a Hmong person. So yeah, definitely. Those were some of my favorite projects.
Mhm. King Ethan, did you want to share what were your favorite projects so far?
Yeah. I think, like what Rocky said, the Dear My Teacher, although I think I had a passage in it, that wasn't my favorite part of it. But I think my favorite part of it was I think it was either that book or another book that we did in Monk class, where I was a featured artist in it, where I would read the students' writings, and I would make an art piece dedicated to that student's and that part was very fun because I was able to see what others had written and was able to interpret what I saw or what I read in my own vision as what they wrote. I think another project that I worked on was being the MC for the show of when I was first in Hmong, I think so, at the end of the year show. And looking back at it now, it was kind of silly since my Hmong wasn't as good. I remembered I was so nervous. I was extremely nervous. I was like, whenever I would go on stage, I would be shaking, and you could hear the nervousness in my voice. And when I would go backstage, I would talk to my co MC. I don't think she goes to Hmong more, but she was a great help during my time as the MC for the Hmong May show, or not the Hmong May show, the end of the year show.
Thank you, Ethan. Thank you, Ethan. One of the questions, Janelle, you asked, how are parents, families, and elders involved in the program? Parents is key. With every single year, every single trimester, we're always asking our students go back and talk to their parents, to go back and interview your parents, go back and figure out the story. And a lot of students come to take Hmong class because they can't communicate with their elders. They're very limited with their Hmong proficiency. So they want to go and discover what are those stories that their parents or their elders have been keeping forever. And they know that it's only a matter of time before their parents or their grandparents leave them. And so they are always involved. And when it comes to an assignment, parents don't have a choice. They, oh, I don't want to do it. Well, mom, it's connected to my grade. We got to get it done. So, you see a lot more of, yes, I'll do it. And the relationship that's built, it's beautiful when you're able to pull the family closer together. That's why we do have a lot of events. Because of COVID, we haven't been able to have in-person events, but this trimester, we had probably a dozen events for my Hmong 1 and 2 students to go out into the community and hear, listen to different topics about the Hmong community, or to listen to what authentic Hmong sounds like. And so my Hmong 3 and 4 students presented their YPAR projects to the community, and Hmong 1 and 2 students had to come and pick and choose different topics and come and listen and participate. So we're always trying to engage our students in our in different ways in the community. We also bring in artist residencies every year. And it does cost a lot of time to write grants, but I know that there are people who believe in us. They believe in the power of bringing the community, the elders, the artists into our classrooms, because I don't have all that knowledge. So when the artists and the community elders come in, I also get my professional development. I also learn along with the kids. And I've been telling the students, even though I've been teaching for a long time, I don't know what I don't know about Hmong language, because this is a new field for me. And I'm learning along with you. We will discover it together in our journey. And so that's another philosophy. I tell kids, I don't know all the answers. And if I don't know something, we'll figure it out. We'll find out. I wanted to add something about Jocelyn's point about mental health. A few years ago, I lost a student, one of my students, to suicide. And because of that, we talk about mental health all the time in class. We touch on it in September with Suicide Prevention Month. I asked them on a regular basis to rate themselves, to go in around the circle, the virtual circle, and ask how they're doing. We talk about self-care. We talk about them, and we give strategies, etc. And out of that, out of the student who took his life, came out of a project called Project Chandu, Project Sunshine, which is a collaboration of the community, of the artists that I knew in the community, and the mental health, the Hmong mental health professionals and educators. We needed to get together to figure out why in 2019, why do we have at least 6 Hmong youth suicides? That's never happened in Minnesota before. And so that was a huge project that came out of it because of that one particular incident. Yeah. And so I just wanted to add that piece. And then other questions.
Actually, I was gonna answer the question too about how our parents are involved. So what our teachers, Miss Yang and Miss Yer, do is they kind of like Miss Yang said, she kind of like asks the students to put their parents in, or it's like get their parents involved. So she'll be like, why don't you ask your parents to help you? Or like, I think it was like either our freshman year or our sophomore year where we had the My Love My Life project, and that was basically where we had to ask our parents like their love the story so that we could write it, and that was basically our assignment. So, and we had to write that like all in Hmong, so it was a really hard process for us. And then we also have these community nights, or we used to have them, where I think you could like paint with Miss Yer. I think that's what we did. So that was showed in the video too. So that's like a great way that Miss Yang and Miss Yer like allow students to and their parents to come in and like talk to the teachers, and you know, because like we are all Hmong, so it's just like to get to know more of the Hmong community. Yeah.
Any other questions? I just want to acknowledge I did see one of our mentors here today in our group, in our meeting here. I would say that the success of our program would not have been possible without Dr. Jenna Cushing-Lubner, who is a phenomenal mentor, coach. She is why we are here. And I'm always trying new things. Sometimes I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm like, I don't even know if this works. And then when I talked to Dr. Jenna Cushing-Lubner, she's like, yes, there's research behind this. And so she's always confirming what we're doing. And she is also why we are doing YPAR work in our Hmong 3 classroom, because without great mentors and coaches, we can't do this work. The work is heavy, and we can't do it without her. And then also the network of Hmong language teachers that we have built, relationship over the last 3 years with our community work. So thank you, Jenna, for everything that you've done. And this is the result of your love and your commitment to the Hmong community. So thank you.
Looks like you guys have a question in the chat that says, what advice do you have for schools seeking to deepen their connection with their surrounding communities?
I'll let the students go with this one first.
So for that one, I feel like, let's see here. So for that one, I feel like you need to have your reason why you want to feel connected to like your own community, like because the why is really important, right? Like, why do you want this? Like, for example, for Hmong class, like why did Hmong students want this class? It's because like they wanted to learn more about their own language and their own cultural traditions. And so like if you have your why, then like from there you're gonna get your how, like how are you gonna do it, and then from there it's like it's kind of like your motivation on how and why you're gonna do it, and then from there you just go and like talk to the leaders of the district saying, hey, like this is what we need, like this is our like this is what we need for now for our like our communities, right, or our language. So yeah, like I do believe that like you have to have your reason, and then from there it follows up to your how you're gonna do it.
Okay, I think to answer this question, sorry, I think I might have to sneeze. Okay, I think I'm good. But I'm gonna bring a little bit of history involved because I feel like it could it could help answer the question. So to schools seeking, so in history we learned like how these countries, like before they were countries and before they had their independence, like they had to like fight wars and all that. So that's kind of like what Miss Yang and her previous students did for our Hmong community, like we had to, and for like this Hmong heritage program, you had to fight for what you believe in, for what something that you really, really want. So I feel like for schools who want that like connection with their surrounding communities, I feel like that's definitely something that you should fight for. If you strongly believe that it's something important and worth like fighting for, you should definitely do it. But yeah.
I would say it's important to have community or staff members who are part of that community, and to gauge their knowledge of the community, and to get them to also get the folks from the community into the circle, to the table, and to really listen to what their needs are, listen to what they're saying. Because one of the things that I hear a lot from parents is that we don't have a lot of time, and we don't want you to ask us to come and give us all these suggestion ideas, and then you go with it and you don't do nothing changes. And so making sure that the people who are the quietest voices, making sure that they're at the table, that they're invited, that they're welcome at the table, and that their voices matter. Also, what I love to do is spend a lot of time talking to parents in good times, when kids are doing good, and also when my students are not doing so well, to have those tough conversations. And I feel like I can, because I'm from the community and I have a number of years behind me that I can I feel like I'm a little bit reliable in what I say. And so I think knowing how to say something and letting parents know that they are important and what they do does matter at home, and that we need a relationship. We need communication between the three in order for to help students. Students must know that I'm talking to their parents, and their parents need to know that I'm talking to their student, and they need to talk to each other. So it's this communication that needs to be ongoing, so that we can lift up students, because we know we can't do it. One person can't do it. It's a whole community that must have good communication and be strategic about what they do to help students thrive and so forth. So anything else? All right. I am going to be giving the end of the showcase link here for you. And this link is just there because I want to make sure that we accept people who want to be at our place, at our event, and it's just for security purposes. And so we want to, I'm going to put the link in here if I can get to the link. And you are invited to come to our showcase to see all the things that we've been doing this year, what we've been up to. You'll see a lot of community partnership, the programs that's been happening this year, some of the residency. You'll see students performing virtually as well. So you'll get to see a lot of what makes our program successful. And I encourage you to fill out the Google form, and there's 2 dates to choose from, and we hope to see you there to get to know a lot more about our program and why students love the program, because every year we always have more and more students come and join us and so forth. So
well, Miss Yang, students, thank you so much. This was so special. I really appreciate all of you sharing your stories with us and telling us about your journeys. It really has felt like such a gift to be able to spend this time with you all. Thank you. We've got a couple more minutes, so please, obviously sign up to go to the end of the year session. Also, the feedback forms are really helpful, but if anyone has any last questions, we have a few minutes.
Or Dr. Jenna, would you like to talk a little bit about YPAR and maybe if folks are interested in YPAR, where they can get training?
Okay. Thank you all so much. There's more another round of sessions right now, and then more tomorrow, and then a wonderful closing on Thursday that I definitely recommend people check out.
All right. Right, thank you for coming. Thanks, students. Another investment of your hour today. We had yesterday. We had them talking to our superintendent and our director of equity. So we're just in one meeting after another. So these are my amazing student leaders. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming and being a part of this session and learning more. We hope this is not the end, but just the beginning to more partnerships and learning from each other and growing our program so that they can be the best that they can be. Thank you.
Thank you so much.